So about 60% of you are subscribed. So thank you. Thank you. If you're watching this, 60% of you are subscribed, but the rest of you are not. So do me a favor right now before I go any further and hit subscribe. Also, hit that like button, share this with someone that might need it, and leave me a comment and engage. I answer my comments. So definitely do that. Okay, so let's get right into it, shall we? Today, this episode is for people, for you, your wife, or someone you might know that is having trouble conceiving. And we all know someone or some people that we care about that are going through the stress and anxiety of trying to have a child. This is a big issue. And a lot of you guys are in your 30s. And so, especially if you're getting into your late 30s, this could affect you. So, watch this episode until the end because you're going to learn a lot of things that can be so beneficial on a fertility journey. Okay, so if you don't know me by now, my name is Kia. I am a coach. I've been coaching since 2019. I've coached thousands of people by now. And I created this podcast because I love talking to people. And it is a reminder, your reminder, that you are amazing and you deserve to be living your best life possible. And this podcast aims to help you do just that. So without further ado, let me tell you about my guest, okay? You're going to be really excited to meet her. She has the most darling accent I think I've ever heard. Okay, she's coming straight from the UK and she is amazing. So, I'm going to read her bio because I don't want to screw it up. So, coming to you from the UK is Alana. Alana, correction. Alana. I just never know if it's Elena or Alana, but this one's Elena. No, this one's Alana. Okay, this is Alana. Okay, so Alana Morris is an author and fertility advocate from England whose book Conceived Against the Odds shares her powerful story of overcoming infertility through IVF, supported by a holistic mind. You know, I love that. Body and soul approach after a long and emotional fertility journey. Ah, Mike, I can just imagine. Alana is passionate about helping others discover the potential of optimal health, mindset, and self connection on the path to conception. Okay, so mindset, holistic health. You see, it's a perfect vibe for this podcast. And let's bring her on. Hello,
Hi.
dear.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Hot Topics Live podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I just want to dive right into your story because I have so many questions. I mean, I just have so many questions. Like, I imagine that you had some issues trying to conceive, and so that led you down this path. But tell me, like, what was that like for you? Did you just expect to just get pregnant and then it just wasn't happening? Because that's the story I hear so often from my friends and family members.
Yeah.
And then they started to look at other alternatives. So what was your experience?
So me and my partner have been together for quite a while, and we did everything right. You know, we made sure we were financially secure. We bought a house, and we were just moved into this house, and you know, we obviously parted and travelled quite a lot, and we were ready. You know, and so we came off the pill. And just as we were buying our house, I said to my partner, I don't think we can afford that house. You know, I'm getting really worried about it. You know, I really want to go back on the pill. And he said to me, do not do that. We're absolutely fine. And so 2 years later, there we were, you know, as people say, you know, if you haven't conceived after 2 years, go and see the doctor. So that's what we did. And I was under the understanding that we would go and see the doctor and the doctor would try and find out why we weren't conceiving. So first of all, they sent my partner Lee for tests. That came back absolutely fine. And and then they said to me, well, you probably want to consider IVF. And I was so, I think in those sort of times, you're so like you just put your belief in the doctor so much that I thought that was what happened. And so they started doing these baseline tests, and they did a HSG, and I ended up with a pelvic inflammatory disease from it. But they then turned around and said, "Oh, yeah, it's absolutely fine. You know, you're good to go. You can get your IVF funding now, because here in the UK they'll fund, depending on where you live, they'll fund you for a round." And I just thought that was normal. I thought that's what they did. And this whole time, we were labelled with unexplained infertility, and I think so many people are, and they're just pushed towards IVF. And so the time went on, and then in that time scale as well, I was diagnosed with MS. And so all of this stuff was happening. And then I got to the IVF centre and they said, "Oh, you've got a blocked tube." And so there was a reason. And the HSG should have shown up the blocked tube. And so back in the UK here, they throw you back onto the NHS. I was quite naive at that time. I thought that they were, excuse me, I thought that once you're in the IVF centre, they were like, you know, the path that you go down. But no, they threw us back down the IVF trail. And it just takes so much time. And we had been private in the past, and, you know, that didn't work out for us. And documents got lost, and, you know, everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong.
This sounds like a
Um,
nightmare.
yeah, yeah, but you know, we were just going with it, you know, because you do, don't you? You know, we just really wanted a baby, and so I ended up having what I thought was my tube removed, but I ended up having both of them removed. And actually, it was funny because at that point of the journey, I was actually relieved to know where we stood, because now I knew that we needed IVF, and so we knew how we were going to move forward, you know. And so that's what we did. And then we were hit because by this age, I would have been about 36. And then I was hit with, I had a low egg count. And then they said to me, "You need to consider using a donor egg." And so we were like, you know, that wasn't, you know, that's not what we want. We want to have our own children. And then my younger sister offered to, you know, donate an egg to me. And although that's really sweet, it's a bit, you know, it'd be a bit strange, wouldn't it?
A
But
little bit.
she was also breastfeeding, and she didn't really understand what she'd have to do to, you know, make that happen. And so we kind of said, you know, we'll just go all in, we'll do 2 rounds, and we'll just go for it. And I've been researching loads, and I'm really interested in holistic approaches. And, you know, I was doing everything I thought was right. And then my last thing was acupuncture. And I met this lady who she helped me stop smoking. I was taking nerve painkillers for my MS. She helped me stop those because I was finding it extremely difficult to stop them. So she, you know, she had her qualities, but she kept cancelling on me. And so I found a new physician, and it must have been about 3 weeks before our first round of IVF. And she said to me, "You're not ready. Your body is not ready for this. I need more time." But I think because years had gone past and every bump in the road, you know, we had our blinkers on, and we truly believe that, you know, it's sold to you that, "Oh, go and have IVF and it will solve all your problems." But actually, there's so much more to it. And you hear people like grading eggs and, you know, thinking, "Oh, I've got a good grade, you know, it's going to work." And then it doesn't. And then all of the heartache that goes with that. And I think through all of those experiences, I put it all, you know, together. And Joanna, my acupuncturist, was like the missing puzzle, the missing piece of the puzzle. And at the problem, I had really bad gut problems, and I didn't realise that that was going to influence everything, you know. And so she was just a complete blessing. And when I rung her and said, you know, it didn't work, she was like, you know, "I'm not surprised," sort of thing. So in the nicest possible way. And so we just kind of went off. It was my partner's birthday, then it was mine, it was Christmas, and we were like, we're just going to enjoy this time. And then in January, we're just going to go full blast, you know, everything that we'd learned. the things which we may have dropped, like smoking, put back into practice, coffee, but we'd always kept like our diets because they're really hard to implement, aren't they? So yeah, and then so yeah, we just kind of like had 3 months of just pure detox, hydration, good diet, just lots of sleep, and it worked. So, and I
So,
truly, go on.
so quick question. Actually, I have two questions. So, at this point, where you and your partner said, you know what, it's our birthdays, the holidays are coming up. Let's just take a break. Let's just relax for a little while,
Yeah,
because from my understanding, it's so stressful and so emotional. It's like an emotional roller coaster this time, and it's like almost, more businesslike than it is when you think, "Oh, we're gonna plan to have a baby," and, you think it's gonna be we all just naturally think it's gonna be simple, right? And then you find out that it's not gonna be that simple. For me, my second child, I had late in life. I had him at 39, but he was a little bit it took me longer to get pregnant that time, because of my age, like, being a little bit older. Um, so for me, it was a little bit, surprising, and just, it felt I felt emotions behind it. Like, I felt some heavy emotions behind it. So I say this to say, I'm wondering what that emotional journey was like for you, because because you've probably told this story so many times, you've said it straight through but what I'm hearing, because I'm hearing it for the first time, is all of these emotional things that happened. Like, you got a pelvic inflammatory disease, which is not okay or comfortable, and it's a miserable experience. Then they tell you, like, you've got an egg block, or a tube blocked. Then they tell you, like, then you get MS, and you're getting all of this sort of uncomfortable news along this process. And the entire time, you also have this strong desire to have a family. So, and as the woman, because I think that we oftentimes will, like, make ourselves to blame, or feel like something may be wrong with us, or something like that. Um, and we take on all of this extra, pain, and this all these thinking, right, of all of the things that are going along with this. And I'm thinking of your MS diagnosis too. So I'm really curious about what the emotional toll was, go up until this point where you guys were like, okay, we're going to just chill for a minute and just breathe and have some fun before we dive in.
yeah. So it's funny because they say a problem shared is a problem halved. And when we first realised that we were having issues, when it was first mentioned IVF, like it was our little secret. We didn't want anybody to know. We didn't even tell family. And I remember I was going on a hen do to Tenerife, and this girl said to me, "What happens if you're pregnant?" And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I know there's absolutely no chance that I'm going to get pregnant because it's been like 4 years and I'm still not pregnant. And so I feel like when we started to open up to people, when we told them exactly what was going on, I had the most amazing managers, and I work in care, and like they're obviously very caring, and I think like all of that helps. And then it got to the point that it was so comfortable that everybody knew that we were having IVF, and it just became like, it is what it is sort of thing.
Hmm.
And it's funny because by that point when we said, right, we've just done a round and it wasn't what we were expecting, the hormones and everything, and I had Lee injecting me because I just couldn't bring myself to bring that needle to my skin. But yeah, it was just what we needed, and it was almost like a sign that because it was our birthdays, because it was Christmas, why not enjoy it? But it was COVID at the same time, so it wasn't that we went out and partied like we could have done. It was really strange. In fact, here in the UK, if you wanted to go into the pub, you had to sit down and have a meal to be able to get a drink. So, so that's what we did, and it was very civilized. So, so yeah, strange times, but yeah, we just kind of like, you know, shared it with our friends and family, and kind of that definitely helped.
A support
Yeah,
system. So like just
yeah,
having the greatest support system ever really helped you through all of that. That's beautiful.
yeah. And I think it's so important. And I hear so many people say, like they don't want to tell people, and I totally understand how they've got to that thinking. But if I was going to say, give anybody any advice, just open up to one person,
Mhm.
because you'll start to feel the load, just lift off your shoulders. And like, I feel like that helped us with every bump in the road afterwards, because it was just another bump then. So, yeah. And just like taking time for mindfulness as well. Like, if things get too much for you, take that time for yourself, do whatever you love to do. Go and read that book, or have a bath, and listen to some music. Just take that time, because I just think as well, we live in such a rushed society that it's all work, work, work sometimes, isn't it? You've got
Mhm.
all this going on in the background, and maybe your colleagues aren't even aware of what's going on, and the pressure's still there for you to do everything that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it does feel like there'd be a lot of pressure, but if it was me, the pressure would be coming from myself. And I
Yeah.
don't know how, like, I love to hear that you had such a strong support system because I could imagine spiraling. Like, I would probably have crashed out a few times during the entire process with everything happening. And I know they say there's the saying when I'm coaching, right? I like to tell my members, you know, there's a saying called, it takes a village to raise a child, right? But inside, we all have inner children. So I
Hmm.
like to think of a support system as that village, right? And we're
Yeah.
all sort of just helping each other through these things. And if you don't have a support system in your life, finding a tribe, I always say friends are the family you choose for yourself,
Yeah.
or an online community or
Yeah.
chat or whatever that
Mhm.
becomes your tribe that can support you through these things, because trying to go through it alone, I can imagine, would be just unbearable.
Yeah, definitely. I just couldn't imagine doing all of that on our own. And I know you have your partner, but they're going through it as well. And so,
Mhm.
you're kind of like leaning on each other, but you do still need to lean outwards, I think. Yeah, I think it's really important.
I agree. So you said what year was this by then that you had been
Um,
going through this?
so we started trying in 2016, and then I had my tube removed in 2001. So, and it was so 2001 January was my operation. We finally, because we've been waiting for that for ages, we finally said, do you know what, we're just going to go private. And at that time, we were like, this might be the one thing which actually leads to us getting pregnant naturally. And so we spent the money, had it done, and it was a good thing we did, because in the March, COVID hit, and if over here in the UK, they sold all of the private beds to the NHS. So the operation would have like gone on the well, it wouldn't have happened. I'm not even sure when it would have happened. And then it was that at the end of that year when we did the first cycle. So, oh no, it was 2000, wasn't it? COVID.
2020.
Yeah, 2020 then, yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Goodness. Oh my gosh. And so let's pick up where you left off. You were at coming off of Christmas holidays break, and you guys were going to get started again. Oh, before you continue, I had another question. So you mentioned the holistic aspect. At what part of the journey did you start looking into like a holistic approach?
Well, I've always been interested in an holistic approach. So little things came in, like working on anti-inflammatory foods to reduce inflammation. But when I met Joanna, my acupuncturist, about 3 weeks before that first round, she made everything make sense to me. So I didn't realise, but I actually had gluten and dairy intolerance. And so that naturally causes inflammation in your body. And so unless you've got on top of that, and I hear so many people say, "Oh, you need to give up gluten, you need to give up dairy," but actually, unless you've got an intolerance to them, there's a chance that they're not actually causing inflammation in your body anyway. But there might be other foods that you are eating which possibly could be, you know. So I think everyone's different. But I think Joanna, everything I'd learned, I think Joanna made it all come together, if that makes sense. So I wasn't aware that I had real bad gut problems. But then also when I had the pelvic inflammatory disease, I had IV antibiotics, and then I think I had like 3 more antibiotics after that. And not once did anybody say to me, "Oh, take a probiotic, make sure you're, getting on top of your gut health." So little things like that I think make a really big difference. I've always been like really into hydration, and I think though doing IVF, I I know people say, "Oh, you should stay hydrated. It's really good for you," but no one really talks about the benefits in fertility and like how important it is for male to stay hydrated, but also women and how it affects the mucus in the uterus and stuff. And so, like, if you're
Mhm.
not properly hydrated, your chances are that's just taken away one of your chances. But also,
Wow.
like, just how important everything is. It's not just gut health, It's not just detoxing. It's not just about eating an anti-inflammatory diets. It's about everything working together, and your hormones being balanced. And of course, that's where mindfulness comes in, because if your cortisol's high, and in this day and age, everybody's is high, and just like having like protein, like in the morning before your coffee, just little things like that tweak your hormones, and they just have to be in complete balance. And on that second round, I think my progesterone dropped, and I actually started having injections. And that's another thing, those hormones need to stay balanced, don't they? So I just truly believe it's all about optimal health, not just one thing or the other. And I just really want to share that with people, because I just feel like back when I first started trying, I wasn't aware of any of that. And I remember saying to my doctor, many of them, what can I do to give myself the best possible chance? And they all said, oh, eat healthy, keep a good BMI. But like, what does that even mean? And then, people, they freak out about that. They're like, oh, my BMI is a bit high. And so I'll start fasting. And then that affects your hormones. And then they don't realize that actually now they're jeopardizing their fertility for the fact that they're trying to lose some weight, when actually they could probably still fall pregnant and be healthy at that weight. And maybe there's just some changes that they could make, which are, like adding in nuts and seeds. And so they're feeling fuller, and they could just eat different, So yeah, I just find it really interesting.
It is. And the moisture, like the water, the dehydration, most people are dehydrated and they don't
Yeah.
even realize it. I did not take drinking water serious enough until I ended up having a nephrectomy, and that is a removal of my left kidney. And the importance of me drinking water now is 10x.
Yeah.
So, but it was something that I didn't like. I knew, "Oh, drink your 8 glasses of water." No, that's really not enough. You should be drinking more than that, and good water. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I actually interviewed a guy on this podcast a couple of years ago. He's called a water god. And, I think you can find the episode on the channel if you go through, or maybe on one of the playlists. But, he said, "The best water is the water you have," right? However, there are different levels of quality of water, especially. And it's really important, like, just to get good water in, as clean and hydrogenated and pH balanced if you can. But I can imagine that isn't something that I thought would affect your fertility. And especially as a man, that thought would have never even occurred to me. So I can imagine how many people would not have known that.
I think as well, though, that the man side of things, I think they're just now starting to realise just how important a role they play. And like, I think it affects their sperm mobility and their quantity and quality. It's all three of them. Um, but also, um, like you said, the quality of the water. And I think, you know, if you're dehydrated and you have to grab a bottle of plastic bottle of water, then that's better than no water at all. But then if you can prioritize your water, you know, definitely make it alkaline and keep it pH balanced. Definitely, yeah. Um, but yeah, I was going to say something on the male fertility thing, but it's gone.
Well, if it comes back, definitely, because I have a large male audience, and who knows who it could help. So if it comes back, I'm excited to hear it. So let's dive back into your story. Okay. Oh, wait, did you tell me how many years? So how many years was it that you were on that journey by that Christmas?
So that was 4 years by that
4 years in.
Christmas. Yeah.
Wow, 4 years. So after Christmas, what happened?
So after Christmas, well, I remember smoking my last cigarette. So I hadn't really gone back to smoking cigarettes like I had, but I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna allow myself and just take the pressure off again, you know, just enjoy it. And I was just having like one roll up, and that was it. And it was after my main meal in the evening. And so on New Year's Eve, I remember smoking my last one out in the garden, and I was like, bye bye, right, finished. And 3 months then solid of just detoxing, really good diet, and just getting ourselves to the healthiest, fittest, you know, possible, you know, that we could, you know, and we had lots of sleep and just spent lots of time together and, you know, just made sure that we were in this little bubble together. And after 3 months, and I also had acupuncture every 2 weeks. So I went back and saw my acupuncturist and yeah, and she started, I could just remember seeing her being like, yep, you know, I think you're nearly there. And then, you know, I we planned all our injections and I went and had my scan for my follicles, and they were, you know, a couple of days later, they were like, "Yeah, you know, we're happy, let's do this." And it just so happened to fall on one of my appointments for my acupuncturist, and I went and had acupuncture on the day of my embryo being put back in. And so it was just everything just panned out, just like it was supposed to be, you know. So yeah, but acupuncture as well is really good for like the blood circulation into your womb, and so there's that side of it as well. And I know people say that it's not scientifically proven, but if you find the right acupuncturist, like who knows what they're talking about and they're interested in optimal health, you know, that they know that your body is at that point, because that just proved it to me when, you know, she said to me before, like, no, don't go, you know, don't go and have it done, and you know, you're wasting your time. You know what you're like, now I've got my blinkers on, I've booked it, we're doing this, you know, this has been 4 years in the making, we are going, you know. And then for her to actually come through the other end and say, yeah, I'm happy with your body now. And she used to put her hand on my pulse as well and listen to it. So she did actually sound like she was actually listening for something, you know. There was something there that told her that my body was working in perfect synchronicity. So yeah, it was really magical time that was.
I can just imagine. I would never have thought acupuncture would be beneficial. I mean, it's beneficial for so many things, but this is just not something that I ever would have thought, oh my gosh, like if you're struggling to get pregnant, maybe go and get some acupuncture. Make a
Yeah.
like I guess making a holistic wellness plan is gonna be good for you no matter what.
Yeah.
But especially in a time like this when you are taking all these hormones and all of this stuff, like, taking a holistic approach does seem logical. So what was yours? What kind of plan did you make for yourself?
So basically, it was all about good diet, and I took the pressure off us. I didn't say, "Oh, let's eat healthy." I tried to look at it as let's eat real food, you know. So also, I wasn't allowed gluten, and gluten's in everything, isn't it? So
Mhm.
we would always have a smoothie in the morning, and I would make it up with one green, with berries, and then nuts and seeds in there as well. So that's a good fertility drink because obviously you've got your folate, you've got your antioxidants, and then you've got your good fats as well. I always snacked on things such as olives and carrots and hummus. And it's all about just getting a really good balance of fats, fiber, protein. I stopped drinking caffeine as well, which I found the hardest thing ever
Mm.
because I love coffee.
Oh, it's my favorite drink.
It's
I would
hard, isn't
die.
it?
It's yeah, I suffer from acid reflux if I'm not
Oh,
careful, so I
yeah.
do have to be careful, and, but there was a couple of years ago that I landed in the emergency room because and I
Wow.
didn't rea I thought I was having a heart attack,
Oh, wow.
and mhm, and it turns out it was severe acid reflux with esophageal spasms. It was
Oh
that
my
bad.
goodness.
And so I thought to myself, I've been drinking 3 cups of coffee a day for 3 months. And I was like, I've gotta stop drinking coffee. Like, and I did. I mean, I drink it again now. It's been some years, but for a long period, maybe 6 months, I didn't drink any coffee and I missed it so much. But it was hard. So that I can completely identify with. Mhm.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think I just replaced them with, like, hot drinks. So I had, like,
Mhm.
a fresh honey ginger and lemon, and so you still get that soothing sort of, like it's a comfort thing, isn't it?
Mhm.
And then if I was out in a coffee shop, I would have a hot chocolate instead, just so I felt like I wasn't missing out.
Oh, I
Um,
feel that. I did matcha. That was
yeah.
my little switch was, like, a very light matcha. It didn't even have like, it didn't even pick me up with it's like a chai matcha coffee that with coconut milk that I would make,
Oh,
and
lovely.
mushroom it was mushroom matcha, actually.
Oh, wow.
And so I would have that comfort you were talking about, like, I think that's a part of it, like, because caffeine's an addiction.
Mhm.
So sometimes, and they say it with cigarettes and with any addiction, like sometimes swapping it out for something that can give you that same comfort, but that isn't bad for you is the key to actually kicking that. And I did very well leaving coffee behind for a long time. I think I started drinking coffee the beginning of this year again, but now I'm mindful. It's just a
What
little
what made
bit.
what made you start again?
I missed the taste of it. And decaf doesn't do it for me.
No.
Right, it's the flavor's different somehow. I don't know how to unless I haven't found a really good decaf that will do it, but it just doesn't do it for me, and I really just missed the flavor of coffee.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Mhm.
So yeah, that
So,
was quite challenging.
I can imagine. So, okay, so you kept up a very healthy diet. You mentioned detoxes. Did you have a favorite detox you used to do?
So I always had a detox, excuse me, a detox bath, and I would do it 3 times a week. But this is like mindfulness again, isn't it? It's like taking that time. And it would be Epsom salts. I bought a massive bag, like massive sandbag full of it, bentonite clay and baking soda. And
Mm.
3 times a week, I would just commit to lying in that bath for like 20 minutes at least and just listening to frequency music, and just switching off, and that's like, it's a connection of the both. It's not just the detox, it's the frequency music and just like taking up time. Which I think we don't do we? It's
Mhm.
oh, need to have a wash, just go and have a quick shower, get everything done. and then it's carry on. So I really enjoyed that. I used to love just relaxing in the bath and just having that time.
I love it too. I do that, by the way. I like to have the Epsom salt baths, and I sometimes will put oils in and stuff too, and listen to a sound bath or
Mm,
a binaural beats or something like that. So I definitely get. I don't do it enough, but
yeah,
women especially love oxytocin, and a nice hot bath releases so much oxytocin for us. So that's one way that we can get it if we're not in a relationship or even if we are and we just want more. That
yeah,
bath is so lovely because you're right. We're sometimes just so busy that it's like, oh, I'm going to pop in the shower really quickly and get on with my day or, get to bed or whatever. But like carving out that time. And it's interesting. It sounds like this process of trying to have a baby really took you on a journey of self-care and self-love in a really beautiful, mindful way as
yeah.
well.
And definitely taught me to slow down
Mhm.
because I was never very good at doing anything slow. It just had to be done yesterday, you know? So it was quite good in that sense. And I think when I had my baby then, it made me take the time to enjoy him more because I didn't care if things needed to be done. I would just sit there and stare at him or, just hold him all day, you know? So it definitely taught me to slow down.
Okay, spoiler alert, you had a
Yeah, yeah,
baby.
yeah, yeah. Well, he's actually 3.5 now, so yeah, he's a full-blown toddler.
So that means after the day of the acupuncture, when you went and had the procedure done, you got pregnant.
Yeah. And
Oh.
it's funny because don't you? You can just tell in your body that you're pregnant, and
Mhm.
I kind of just knew. And I remember we went for our 6-week scan, and the lady was like, "Congratulations, you're pregnant!" And I felt so sick by this point. And I just, when it's so surreal, and I already knew, but I didn't want to get too excited. I just felt like I didn't want any more heartache. I wanted that baby in my arms before I actually said, "We've done it," you know? And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it was funny because I never really got up and was like, "Ah!" Whereas my partner was running around the room going, "Yeah!" And I thought, "Well, you're not in my body, so you don't know how it feels."
Because then the next leg of the journey begins, right? So all of these years of going through doing the holistic approach and getting acupuncture and the baths and the good diet and dropping cigarettes and caffeine and like doing all the injections, which I can't like I don't even know how you do it. Like I think the desire to have the child must be so strong that you're like, I'm willing to inject myself for this. But for me, I really can't even imagine like sticking myself as much as you have to when you're doing these treatments. So, I mean, it's just everything that you've gone through with such a beautiful, positive attitude is just really extraordinary. And I love a happy ending. So, you had
Yeah,
a baby boy.
yeah, bless him. And I
Oh,
always knew it was a boy as well. It's funny, isn't it?
that's extraordinary.
So, I was pregnant and I said to my partner, "Oh, you choose names and I'll just say yes or no." And he kind of chose a name and I was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's his name." And we were calling him by his name in my stomach. And we got to like 7 months and Lee said to me, "Oh, don't you think we should start thinking of some girl names?" And I was like, "You carry on. I'm not even getting involved with this. You choose something because that is a boy."
You're like,
And it
why? I already
yeah.
know it's a boy.
And so when he was born and they were like, "Yeah, it's a boy," I was like, "See?" So, yeah, but
Oh
it was
my
a
gosh,
wonderful
that's
surprise.
extraordinary.
But yeah, we kept it a surprise, so yeah, it was because everything had been so planned and, like, people knew that we were pregnant when we were 2 weeks pregnant, you know? So
Mhm.
we were like, "We're not gonna find out, we're not doing a gender reveal, and, we just want one last surprise," you know? So it made it a bit more special.
And how was your delivery?
Oh, it was I ended up having an MS relapse in my 3rd trimester,
Oh.
And I was really poorly, and I ended up. So I'm born on my mum's birthday,
Mm.
and it was on on our birthday, and she ended up spending her birthday that year in the hospital car park because it was still COVID restrictions, so she couldn't come
Mhm.
in.
Oh.
And I thought there was something wrong with the baby, and I came out and they said no, it's absolutely fine. And so I just emailed my MS nurse and said, "Oh, I've had this going on today, blah blah blah." And she said, "Yeah, you're having a relapse." And I was like, "But I was told I won't relapse in my pregnancy." And she was like, "Well, maybe you need to rest more." And so I left work a little bit earlier than I planned. And then I just opted for a C-section because I'd really struggled with my fatigue. And so it was a planned C-section. And yeah, a little part of me is gutted because I didn't get to experience labour. Um, but another part of me thinks, had it gone terribly wrong, and one of our friends recently had a baby and she was in labour for 38 hours.
Oh.
And I just wouldn't be able to do that, I would have put us both at risk. And it's not worth it then, is it?
No, I had 2
So,
C-sections. I didn't even have a choice on the second one. After I had the first one, here in the US, they were like, "You have to get you're required to," and I was in Florida, Miami at the time, and so I was required to have a C-section for the second one. So, the first one was an emergency C-section. He was in distress,
oh,
and so he had to come out, and that whole, like, labor experience was really frightening and awful and overwhelming for me. So when they told me I had to be scheduled for the second one, I actually was relieved. I was like,
mm,
I know exactly when I'm going to have this baby. It's all planned, it's scheduled. Like everything was almost like having a spa day that second delivery. But I had a little bit of anxiety after they gave me the epidural with the second one. But honestly, I am like, I wouldn't change it for the world. Initially, with my first one, I had like a moment where I felt like, oh, because with the first one, he was in 2006. Um, Back then, they didn't let you hold the baby right after you have them if you had a C-section. It was almost like you were
oh,
being punished for not giving natural birth, right? Like you couldn't hold your baby straight away. And I was gutted about that, right? Like I knew it ahead of time, but I was so like, what he needs to bond to me immediately,
mm,
right? I have also 2 boys. And I was pretty sure the first one was a boy. The second one I wasn't sure, but the first one I was pretty sure. And so I was so sad, like, and I thought, kind of really upset about not being able to give natural birth and having had to have had a C-section, right? But at the end of the day, um, it has its perks, right? You do have a
mm.
longer recovery from a C-section. However, your lady bits are intact, right? Tight and right
Yeah,
forever. Unless you So, it's a trade-off, right? So when the second one came around, I was like, "Yeah, I'm good, like, let's schedule this, okay? Let's get it done and I have a beautiful experience," and I did. Actually, the second one, I will never forget it. The best doctor, everything was amazing. I had a private suite in Miami, like, everything was top
brilliant.
notch and beautiful, and so with that C-section especially, I thought, "You know what?" And they let me hold him. So by
Oh,
then, the policy had changed, so as soon as they took him out of me, he was on me, and I felt like this is how it's supposed to be, right? So I kind of got like a redeeming moment with my second son. So I definitely understand, if that helps you at all, that there are perks to having a
yeah,
C-section and everything happens the way it's meant to anyway. And you're
yeah,
probably 1,000% right that there could have been jeopardy there because I did experience jeopardy. I live with chronic disease, right? So I don't have MS, but I have a collection of other things.
mm,
And that's part of the problem. So that is what ultimately landed me in distress with my firstborn, right? So, honey, I think thank goodness, you know, you have a healthy baby. Well, he's getting big now.
Yeah. But I was the same. They didn't not let me hold him, but they kind of they put him on me and then they were like, "That's enough now." And I was like, excuse me." So they wheeled me out into like the recovery bit, which was the hallway. And I said to Lee, I said, "Get him out of that towel." I said, "Pass him here." And the midwife had gone, and I said, "Just do it. It's fine. It's our baby." You know.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Skin to skin. It's so important. Like we are doing this now. Like so, yeah."
I love that. I mean, it is so important. And so, oh my gosh, what an incredible story you have of and a journey over 4 years of just trying to do, and it's amazing because it's like I said in the beginning, we just always think it's going to be easy. You're like, "Oh, I want to have a baby. I'm going to have a baby. And, all I have to do is have unprotected sex." You know what I mean? I'll be maybe once or maybe a few times,
But
but go on.
I was just gonna say, like, when you're younger, they're saying, "You must take the pill, you can't get pregnant, you gotta do this, you gotta do that." And it is all about protection from such an early age, isn't it? And
Mhm.
they don't talk about how that will jeopardize your future either. So, yeah.
Yeah, you need all the information because, yeah, I mean, I think a woman definitely should have a right to determine when she's ready to have a child. And so she does need to have birth control, but she also should be given all of the facts. And don't get me on this soapbox, honey, because let me tell you the things that we don't get told properly or the way we're treated in the healthcare system as women, a
Mm.
lot of times, like right now, I just turned 50 and I
No
am,
way.
yeah, in
You
September.
don't look 50.
Oh,
Wow.
how
You
lovely.
look
Well,
amazing.
thank you. I mean, I don't know I know 50 used to look different, but I think this is what it looks like now. But thank you. I have learned to accept compliments. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I turned 50 and obviously I'm perimenopausal, right? And at this stage of life, I started finding out all of these new things that I had no idea that women went through. And I was like, why were the older ladies gatekeeping the horrors of aging as a woman? I mean, they just say it's horrible, but they don't get into the details, right? And I think, thank God for Gen X because we're so, oh, now you see it everywhere. Everyone's talking about perimenopause. I didn't even know perimenopause was a thing. I knew about premenopausal and menopausal, but I did not know in between those two things was perimenopausal. And then there's postmenopausal. And all of those things have lots of different things that accompany them that kind of suck, but are manageable. So, going back to what we were talking about birth control, I think there's a problem with how women are educated about our choices and side effects and outcomes and all of these things that can help us, make really well educated decisions about our bodies
Yeah.
as we
We,
age.
yeah. I mean, we're not given the information, are we? And
Mm-mm.
it's only when you're going through it that you then dive into the research and you find out.
Mhm. Thank God for a podcast and the internet. Okay, because like you got to be able to find out this information. And sometimes, I mean, even sometimes you're embarrassed to maybe ask someone else, and it shouldn't be like that.
No.
As women, we should be able to go to one another and say, "Hey, I'm having these symptoms." And thank God it's like that with me and my girlfriends, where I can be like, "I'm sweating at night, like a lot." And I don't understand. Is this a hot flash? I feel like I'm starting to get hot and I'm sweating a little bit. Is anyone else hot? Like you're going through these things and you need people to kind of talk to. And you know what? I was dating this guy and he told me that he had menopause and that is a thing.
Really? Didn't know about that.
I did not know about menopause and
Wow.
apparently he has hot flashes too. So,
Wow.
like, there's all, and I don't know if men know about that stuff. I don't think maybe it's just not just women is my point that are not being educated. Like the older generation, those boomers are doing us a disservice because they were raised to keep their mouth shut and keep a stiff
Yeah.
upper lip. Right.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
just suffered in silence, but we need this information. Right. So thank God for Gen X as we're out here. doing the work, doing the good work,
Sharing the
and
love.
trying to share with people, hey, this is about to happen to you, and here's how you can mitigate it.
Hmm.
And which is why I really wanted to do this episode with you, because I felt like my audience, a lot of people, I have a very wide age group of people that watch this podcast, especially thanks to shorts. But my primary age group, I would say, would be 30s, right? 30 to 40 ish. And those are the people that are going to be thinking about having kids, getting older, maybe starting to have problems with fertility. And so, what would you say to those people having had the experience you had?
Um, Definitely take a rounded approach to it. And I hear so many people say, "Oh, I'm taking this supplement, this supplement, this supplement," but I really do feel it goes deeper than that. And if your gut's not on key, then nor are your hormones. And all of those supplements that you're taking, you're just wasting your money because you're not going to be absorbing them. And hydrate, hydrate and detox, and take some time for yourself and just slow down. Yeah, definitely. So, and just be kind to yourself for sure.
Do you think that that time you took off, where you guys were like, let's just take some time off, because it was like right before you ended up getting pregnant? Do you think? I mean, I watched some TV shows, and I remember that there's the Kardashian, one of the Kardashian girls, Courtney was going through an infertility situation where she was trying to get pregnant with Travis Barker, the drummer, and they did kind of the same thing. They sort of went off treatments, and it was then after like all the pressure was off and they kind of chilled out for a while, they ended up getting pregnant.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's another time I've heard of a story like that. And I think I've had another couple of people that I've known that have kind of been like, either they stopped doing treatments and got pregnant, or they said, kind of F it. Like, I'm just gonna
yeah,
do whatever I want for a while. I need a break. They just kind of throw their hands up and go, I need a break from this. It's too much. And then they end up getting pregnant through the treatment.
yeah.
So, do you think that that had anything to do with it for you guys?
Yeah, I think definitely taking that time. I mean, obviously, I was infertile because I didn't have any tubes, and we didn't have that chance to fully just use the holistic approach. I'd be really interested to see what would have happened though, for sure, because I really believe in it, and I do feel that our bodies have the power to heal. And I wish that I could sit here now and say, that is just it. But I've also had lots of friends who have, I mean, one set of friends actually got to the point where they were going to have IVF, and then she fell pregnant. And then just recently now, she was in the same situation, and I'm saying to her, do this, do that. And then she was going for IVF again, and they just got pregnant. So she
Wow.
said, we didn't even use the treatment again. So, but I think it's almost like taking that pressure off.
Mm.
Yeah, because your mind is such a powerful thing, isn't it? And they say that the mind and the gut is connected as well. So everything's connected, isn't it?
I agree. I absolutely agree. The gut is so important. I don't think I think I was in my 40s when I realized how important gut health is, and I am still tweaking to get mine in the best possible condition because of my illnesses. It's so helpful
Mm.
to understand gut health and to figure out what works for you, and get all of that sorted out, right?
But
It's
it's
so
another
important.
thing the doctors don't talk about. They don't say, how is your gut health? They don't ask how your stress levels are. And even
Mhm.
when they check your hormones, they don't check all of them. They just do a baseline, you know.
It can be so frustrating, you know? It can be so frustrating, and I just think of all the times, like, in my health journey with the illnesses I lived with, and before they were more known, like, for example, I have fibromyalgia is one of them, and I remember going in the late 90s and the early 2000s to the doctor, and the doctor telling me that It was just in my head
Wow,
that it didn't exist. This didn't exist. This wasn't a real illness.
that's crazy, isn't it?
Mhm. So, and then all the things, so you think about, like, your healthcare professionals and the things that you're told, and I just wanna say to anyone who may be, like, going through something right now where they've had an experience with their healthcare professional and they're just feeling like I did after that happened, like, so demoralized and, like, you don't know how you're gonna get help, change your doctor.
Yeah, definitely. Because you know your own body as well, don't you?
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. And so, tell me before we wrap it up, because we're nearly at 1 hour already. Where did the time go? Um, so tell me about your book.
Yeah, so I I don't know why, I just had a calling, last September, I went away on holiday, and rather than sit around the pool and read a book, I started writing a book. And I just said to my partner, like, I just feel like I've got so much that I wanna share, that I just feel like all of the information that I collected together, it's not out there. And I just said to him, and he said to me, "Yeah, I think you should do that." And he's just supported me the whole way. So, I spent a year writing it, and I just, because obviously memories and stuff, and you keep going back, and then I think, "Oh, yeah, and then we did that, didn't we?" And, I just think that all of the information in there potentially could really help people. And I just want people to be aware of, like, we live in such a toxic world as well, that we are just, there's so many toxins around us, and they affect your hormones. And there's all these different things. And the doctors don't even talk about what affects your hormones. In fact, I'm not even sure that they're aware themselves. And so I just kind of needed to get it all in a book together. And then also, something I found comfort in when I was on our journey was just reading other people's stories, to know that I wasn't alone. It wasn't just me going through that whole process. And so it includes our story as well, because just to give comfort, really. So I'm hoping that my book might help people, and just give them an insight to some of the basic things that they should be looking out for. So
Oh my gosh,
hopefully,
that's wonderful.
hopefully.
Absolutely wonderful. So what is one thing from the book that, like, if you had to pick one, I know we talked about a few things already, but, like, if you had to pick, like, one really solid tip
Oh, that's a really difficult
from the
one.
book.
Um, I think probably the bit about the hormones and how
Mhm.
hormones affect you, because hormones are affected by so many different things. And they are, whether you fall pregnant and you rely on them to stay pregnant. So I think they're quite important. And I think that so much is impacted from your hormones, but different things. So like your diet and your anti-inflammatory foods and your gut health and like everything, the stress. So like your mindfulness, it all comes back down to hormones. So I just think it's good to understand how they work, because that was something I really didn't understand. I didn't understand that my hormones were gonna play such a big part, and I didn't realise that those hormones had to be level, in perfect balance, to stay pregnant as well. So, yeah.
Wow. That is really, really important information, I feel like. I mean, your hormones gonna play such an important part throughout your life. And it is good, male or female, to understand what's going on with your hormones
Mhm.
and to make sure that they're balanced. I mean, definitely when you want to get pregnant, definitely if you're in a IVF journey, but also just throughout life in general. I mean, imbalanced hormones will wreak absolute havoc on your body and on your wellness.
Mhm.
So, what a very, very good tip. And I just got to tell you, I think it's really beautiful work.
Oh, thank
I
you.
I mean, so many people sort of I love the message of like, tell people, because so many people do keep this in and they sort of suffer in silence and they go through it largely alone with their partner. And I think it's so incredible to have people in your corner that are just there to support you, and also to explore these holistic options. And the I would have never thought to do acupuncture, right? I would have never, that you could have knocked me over with a feather, that being such an important part of your story. So I mean, I think it's a lot to be about being open to experiencing different therapies that maybe are non-traditional therapies,
Mm.
but also being open to trying whatever can help you. Do your own research, obviously, but like, don't be afraid to try something holistic or different or cutting edge if it can help you.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
what a beautiful message you have. I
Oh,
want
thank
to
you.
I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Hot Topics Live podcast today.
No, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, I enjoyed this so much. What a beautiful and inspiring story you have. I mean, I really feel like you should be coaching people. Like, you should be just like holding people's hands through this journey and helping them get through it, and with the same grace that you did.
Oh, bless
So,
you.
yeah. And if not, they can just go get your book right here. Where you get it. And don't mind me, I'm going to get my nails done today. Don't look at them. So, but anyway, go there and get the book and find out more about Alana and what she does. And if you need that support, you've got to go to the right people to get it. So I hope this helped. And Alana, again, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Hot Topics Live podcast. Is there anything else you wanted to say before I put you back in the green room?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure. So right now I'm going to put you back in the green room and then I'm going to close up the show. If you have to go, I understand. I will reach out to you privately. If you can hang around for a few minutes though, I would love to come and say a proper goodbye once I'm done wrapping up the show.
Fantastic. Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye bye.
Oh my gosh, guys, don't forget to go here and get her book. And before I forget, let me give a shout out to Mental Health Code. You can go follow them at Mental Health Code on Instagram. That is my sponsor. So shout out to my sponsor, Mental Health Code, to Caesar and Kelly, my friends that are doing great work in the mental health community. I am not selling anything. I am just sharing. Okay, sharing is caring, and I care about your mental health. So go follow Mental Health Code on Instagram. And then if you decide you want to take one of the courses, you want to get involved, you want to hear what Caesar has to say, then you can do that. But if you don't know, well, you don't know what you don't know. So go find out at Mental Health Code and follow them on Instagram. So with that said, wasn't Alana like the nicest, sweetest person? Didn't you just love her energy and her story? I did. I absolutely did. So I'm very grateful that she came to be a guest today. So now you know it's the part of the show where I do something really special for you, just for you, if you've made it this far. By the way, if you made it this far in the episode, then you're officially in my tribe. So set your notifications so you know when I come live, and like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. You know how it works by now. YouTube is not new. Okay, so if you like pretty pictures and you like classic looks, well, then come and follow my pinup journey. Okay, this is my cover, my last cover I did. And this is my first ever cover. It was just Halloween. So this one is not from this last Halloween. I think it's the one before. I think. Anyway, if you like that kind of thing, you can order those magazines in print. They're print on demand. Or you can, if you're more interested in my pinup journey, go and follow me on Instagram, on my private Instagram account. You can follow me at all of these places here, but at Creativity, which is the first one, which is Kia and positivity fused together. I made a word. There's a word for that. I can't think of what it is, but I made up that word. And And you can follow my pinup journey there. You can see behind the scenes of my photo shoots. You can see, my print work. You can see lots of stuff. I'm about to start doing videos. You got some stuff in the works, you guys. It should be pretty cute. So go and follow me there. And follow Hot Topics Live podcast on Instagram. And of course, the Female Veterans Podcast. Veterans Day is coming up in 11 days. Veterans Day is also the anniversary of this podcast. It was born on Veterans Day. And so I'll be doing a special episode on Veterans Day as well. And so you can follow the Female Veterans Podcast. It's kind of new on YouTube. It needs subscribers. So go help me out over there and share it with any veterans you know, or women who care about what women experience in the military. Because the Female Veterans Podcast is female veterans talking about their real story, good or bad, the way they experienced it in the military. And women have a unique perspective because there's less than 25% of the United States Armed Forces are women. And I was one of them, US Navy. Okay, so that is why I do that. And this is that special part of the show where I give back to you for sharing your time with me, because time is the one thing we cannot get back. So this is called Soul Truth Self-Awareness Cards. They're by Brianne Hovey. They are daily questions that will transform your life. So are you ready to transform your life? Shall we? So this is what we're going to do. I want you to take a deep breath for me. Just like breath work is the key, honey. So if you're not doing breath work, you've got to do it. Take a breath with me. Okay. Just get centered into your heart. And if you want, close your eyes. And I'm going to shuffle up these cards just like I'm playing cards. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I want you to think about, your source, your universe, your God, whatever you believe in. This is an inclusive space. And I want you to tap into your higher self or whatever that energy is for you, your God energy. And you are going to tune into that frequency. And then I'm going to shuffle these cards. You can probably hear me doing it. And one is going to fly out. And that is going to be your message. Sometimes two comes out, but I don't take more than two because that would be too long. And we're about to wrap it up. So let's see. Oh, you got one. You got one. So let's see what it is. This is your message just for you. Okay. So pay attention and see how you can apply it to your life. Also, take what resonates and leave the rest. Okay. On whom am I placing blame right now? I think you're about to get dragged. A person who blames others has not begun their lesson. A person who blames themselves has begun their lesson. A person who blames no one has finished their lesson. That's by Unknown. So today's soul action, take responsibility. On whom are you placing blame right now? Today, free yourself by releasing all victimhood, blame, and resistance. They don't belong where you are going. Only love and courage live there. Make a choice to do it, even if you don't feel ready. Listen to your heart. You will be led. We always know deep inside. That's why meditation is so key. I have some great announcements, guys. I'm starting a new coaching program. I can't wait. It launches in February. Everything's going to be in the description box of this episode. Not yet, because it's not ready yet. But I will keep you posted. Dating After Divorce is coming back, and I have some big news to share with you guys on that. I have been laying low for a while because I've been sick, but I'm back now, and I have so many awesome episodes coming for you with this one and the limited series Dating After Divorce, which is about to wrap up. So catch it. And with that, this is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I love you guys. Don't forget to set your notifications and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.